Welcome back to another episode of Voice Acting Coaching. We are here. We are ready to go. I'm very excited. We're working with a character type and a line of dialogue that I don't think we've seen before on this show. And I'm not sure y'all have even, heard it performed yet. So I'm really excited for this one. We have a variety of scripts, but some of them don't get used as much, so I'm excited. But I will let our guests introduce themselves. So go ahead, my friend, tell them your name, your pronouns, and a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Charlie Houts, he, him. I'm a guy. I do this mainly for fun, trying to do something a bit more professional, but if it remains a hobby, I'm gonna have fun doing it anyways.
I love that. Okay. Fantastic. So, the first thing we do here in voice acting coaching is I'm going to have you perform the line of dialogue for us, and then we'll discover the character after. So, whenever you are ready, go for it.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator.
Beautiful! Oh my gosh, I love this voice. This voice is fucking hysterical. Holy shit. Let's fucking go. Alright, my friend, tell us about the character, what they look like, their personality, and what is happening in this scene.
Okay, Dr. Handelbergen Jaegerman Jensen. He is a rather unassuming gentleman, but he is a shorter male, salt and pepper hair, wears a lab coat embroidered with his full name at all times, even in socially unacceptable circumstances. He is very intelligent, but lacks spatial awareness and gets him into trouble. Because of that, the once bright lab coat that he wears is stained with the markers, scuffs, various reagents and chemicals, and coffee that is not his.
Oh, no.
He's very particular about his oversized brown wingtip shoes not getting dirty, but because they're the incorrect size, he stomps around pretty comically.
Love that. And what personality traits did you pick for us?
So I made him serious-minded, excitable, and oblivious.
Ooh, that's a fun combination. We're gonna have some fun with those ones. Okay, and last but not least, tell us about the scene that is occurring with this line of dialogue.
So after researching late into the night, the over-caffeinated and sleep-deprived Dr. Handelbergen Jaegerman Jensen finishes running the last trials and experiments on creating a universal lighting system that could send Morse code into the galaxy for alien life to find. But despite his colleagues' insistence that he is quite mad on account that aliens most likely do not understand Morse code and instead may try to invade Earth because the light source would be more annoying than helpful, Dr. Hand is finally able to confirm his previous findings on the energy source known as exordium. And this is him kind of coming upon that final discovery.
Got you! This is fantastic. I love all of this detail and little bits and pieces that is happening here. So I want to get a few things sort of clear on my end. Is Dr. Handelberg, long extra letters, is he do you see him in a archetype that is hero or villain or mad scientist? Does he have a moral compass, I guess is what I'm asking.
If we were going to put him on a D&D alignment chart, he'd probably be chaotic neutral. His main goal is to just get the job done, but because of his rather messy nature, he doesn't consider the consequences. So he will, by any means necessary, get something done, even if it ends up being messy at the end.
Okay, so let's brainstorm a little bit here. What are some other experiments that you think he has done, successful or unsuccessful, that have ended in consequences that he didn't really take into consideration? And what were the consequences?
He made a origami folding machine where you could put in, type into the screen any animal or object or thing that you could imagine, and then it would fold it for you, based on a bunch of mathematical equations, and get it right. But he would end up tanking the origami market and causing a financial crash.
Do you know Phineas and Ferb at all?
I do know Phineas and Ferb.
This
yes.
is very Dr. Doofenshmirtz coded.
Well, he was an inspiration for this one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, so maybe a predecessor to the Illuminator. There was just maybe he was selling light bulbs that he proclaimed could output 10 million lumens, and that's like this massive flashlight. But it ended up causing severe temporary blindness in its consumers.
Oh no. This is great. I love developing this life that he has had and these experiments he's made, because one thing we're doing is we're developing the severity of what he does. Like, throwing back to like Doofenshmirtz, right? Is he the type of mad scientist where, he's like doing this crazy stuff and it's successful and we need to be, keep him in mind and make sure he's not destroying the town? Doesn't sound like it. It very much sounds like, from what you're giving me, that he is, if not trying to achieve harmless things, even his consequences are bad, but like, the blindness is temporary, you know what I mean? So, it's like, yeah. So it's like bad, but you're not a dictator. So it's a weird like balance of sitting in that place of like, we need to keep an eye on you like you're a 6-year-old, but we don't necessarily need to put you in jail type of energy.
Right.
That's so fun. I really, really like that version of this character. So talk to me a little bit about when the consequences occur, what do you think usually happens? Like, does he get a phone call from the FBI? Do people show up at his house and they're like, turn the invention off, we're like confiscating it? Like, what occurs?
It seems like this is very much a small town sort of fella where he's working out of his basement. So I imagine that he just gets like the homeowners association, like you got to take that thing down, man. Like it's an eyesore on your property.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How does he feel about these consequences?
Temporary setbacks to a larger end goal.
Okay, that's interesting, because his response to outside consequences that he is causing, right? His consequences, he'll do a thing, and then the consequences affect the outside environment, not just him. But the way he views them is, oh, that's a setback to me. Like, there's almost not even the jump to the layer of all the other people. It's just him and what it does to affect him and his inventions. That's interesting to me, and I like that. I want to play with that a little bit. I'm gonna have you do the line again, but this time, before you do it, I want you to take a moment and genuinely see the thing in front of you. And the invention, right? This illuminator, the crystal, or whatever it is that you are doing to get the transporter to work with the exordium, all the jazz. See it in front of you, and take a moment to recognize that you have done this over and over and over and over and over, and every time it does not work. Every time there's a setback, every time, right? Whatever that feels like to you, and whatever context that gives you before you perform this line, take a moment to have that information and then perform this again. And discover when you say this that it works this time, right? Discover that and be like, oh my God. Whenever you're ready, go for it.
I'm thinking kind of like a eureka moment where he's finally, the light bulb clicks and he's got it figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Whatever it feels like to you.
I knew it! My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator!
Fantastic! I love it! Oh my gosh! Okay, so what felt different between the first time you performed it and this time?
The first time I performed it, I felt like more sitting like at a desk. He was looking at formulas, trying to figure this out. This is like the end result.
Right.
Where, like you said, he's looking at it, he's done everything right. It's powering on. This is like his magnum opus. He's just stoked that this thing got done, as opposed to just doing desk work.
I love that. And that's very interesting because it definitely changed the way you perform it, right? The first time it was like, yes, the, quadratic equation math formula I did says that this will work. Versus the second time you did it was, holy shit, it just worked. So I think that really stood out because, like, the first time felt very much like we understood that you were working on something, but the discovery wasn't there, right? It felt almost a bit of like the voice was cool, but it felt a bit like reading text because we were like, oh, okay, cool. All right, words. And that sometimes can happen when we have dialogue that has a bunch of fancy words in it, especially ones that aren't real, like exordium and illuminator. And then also just adding that onto a big complicated thing where we don't know your invention, we don't know what you're looking for, we don't know how it works, we don't know you've been working on it, right? So we have to follow along, actively listening and going, oh, he's researching. Okay, he's connecting something to I think he said transporter when you're already like halfway past that word. And then we're going, exordium, what's an oh, there's an illuminator, right? So we're trying to keep track as an audience and as a listener going, whoa, already? So when we added the energy and the discovery the second time, it was easier for us to follow along with you because it brought in, when you were performing, these like very natural, like, oh, style of moments where you stopped to recognize it worked so we could stop to recognize it worked. So that was really nice. I liked that. For this character in particular, listen to me. I swear to God, I'm gonna be doing this the whole time. I'm gonna go full Doofenshmirtz, I swear to God. Oh my lord. So, I'm gonna make you do the hard part of, you kind of described what the invention does. I want you to explain to me what you are doing. What is an exordium crystal? How is it giving things energy? Why do you need it to power? Why doesn't it work on batteries or electricity? Give me the scientist detailed thing that you know.
So, exordium itself, the way that I pictured it anyway, sort of like a kyber crystal from Star Wars, where it's really small but has a lot of power in it.
Okay.
And to make something that is essentially a beacon to the rest of the universe, you have to have the power of multiple suns condensed into one energy source. So the exordium crystal being not like a lens to fire it through, but being the power source. So the exordium crystal being drawn upon, I almost pictured it kind of like a black hole pulling in a dead star, to pull that whatever energy is coming off of it. And it's almost endless. But then storing it up and then firing it off in pulses, right? Because the idea was that Morse code could be used to communicate with alien life. So instead of a continuous beam, because you'd need maybe 2 exordium crystals for that one, just having the one, being able to store it and then 1 pulse, 2 pulse, and do that over and over again.
Okay. How many of these exordium crystals exist?
To my knowledge, maybe 3.
How many do you have?
1.
How fragile is this crystal?
If you sneezed, it would break.
And how easy is it to get the other 2 in the world?
That would require infiltration to a government base.
Okay. How'd you get this one?
Asteroid.
Got here. Okay, love that. It happened upon you by chance. Fabulous. Love this. Okay, I ask these questions because what I want to throw into your next performance, I still want your eureka, I still want your oh my god, it worked. Add into your knowledge, yeah, it worked. If this thing fucking breaks because you just threw too much power at it, or if it breaks because you got your equation wrong, or if it destroys itself because it can only do 3 beeps in the Morse code and you accidentally sent S or instead of SOS, like whatever, there are so many variables. Just because it worked doesn't mean everything is end all be all happy, right? Don't consider this moment the final moment because a scientist's work is never done. So take into consideration the fact that amazing, huge milestone. You have one of these, and it can break if you sneeze.
Okay.
Take that into consideration whenever you're ready.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transponder to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator.
Fantastic. How did that change from the previous one?
So this one, instead of being super bombastic like he was in that second take, again, more reserved, like it's cautious optimism, right? He's ecstatic that it worked. He's super pumped. But then the realization when he says my research was correct, then like taking it down and going, okay, I need to make sure that all of my attention is focused on keeping this thing in one piece.
And it changed the way you perform this, and it added a little nuance here. It was no longer just, yes, my thing, oh my god. It became, yes, my thing, oh my god. Right? And it's subtle, but it's huge, and it adds a lot of emotional depth to him. He's not just like a one note, like, yay, it worked, now I can send Morse code. All of the little bits and pieces that are attached to this thing working and to making sure it works are starting to come out. The anxiety, the nervousness, the excitement, but knowing that your hands are touching it, and if you fuck this up, you, oh God, right? Like, so all of these emotions are coming out, and what it did to your dialogue, the way it added nuance, was you were correct, right? We started in a place that was still excited, but a lot less forceful. So it was a place that was like, oh my God, it worked, oh my God, it worked, oh my God. But it was like a little bit quieter, a little bit neater, which is weird to say for a performance, but instead of just like pushy and out there and focused, it was like narrowed in. It was very like, I'm saying these words, I can't believe I'm saying these words, oh my God, it's working. And then at the very end, when you got to power the illuminator, we got a little bit of that, oh, it's gonna power shit, where it came out as like a fireworks and a force. And that was really cool because we want to have dynamics when we do these kind of performances and when we act. So by adding in these different like emotions and these nuances, we're able to make your dialogue go from like, right? Until it gets to the end. And it's so cool. That was really cool to listen to. I love the way this is doing it. So I'm going to add some more stuff to it. Okay. I love this. We've determined the crystal's hard to get. We've determined you only have one. We determined it breaks easily. We determined this is the thing you've been working on, and it's finally working. Amazing. Now I want to get to the nitty gritty. Why do you want to contact the aliens?
So I can imagine him, again, being in a small town. He's very isolated, right? He's a super genius, but then when you're the smartest person, then everybody else around you is dumber. So then you're like frustrated. So where do you go? The final frontier. You're out there looking for something or someone who can understand you. So I would imagine him using the illuminator to send out a like, hey, I'm here. I'm one of you. Come take me.
Got you. Okay, so he's looking for greener pastures, so to speak. Like-minded people. So by that, I'm guessing that the majority of folks in his area don't treat him necessarily with respect or dignity.
Oh no, they love him. He's treated with respect everywhere he goes, but it made me think of the Meet the Robinsons, where it's like, hey Goob, you want to hang out after school? They all hated me. Like, that sort of attitude.
Yes. Okay, so, all right. So this is like I gotta ask you then. Do you feel like this is a bit of an ego? Like, this is a bit of an emotional, like, I am better than you? Or does it feel like the opposite end where it's a misunderstood thing and he feels like no one can understand his genius. They're just like respecting him because they have to type of energy. Which way do you want to roll with it? We can try both.
I think it's definitely an ego thing because being able to construct a universal interstellar beacon in your basement, that takes some smarts. So I can imagine him again looking for greener pastures, but also feeling like where he's around a bunch of Nebraskan corn-fed, like I hate being here, right? So it's kind of like, again, the people aren't actually like that, but he thinks they are.
Yeah, and that's what we want, right? His is the mindset we want into, not reality at the moment. Because he doesn't know reality, he knows what he thinks. So if that's the case, then let's throw a little bit of that ego in there. Let's throw a little bit of that attitude, maybe a bit of that selfishness, right? You are too smart for any of these people on Earth. Only the incredible, gifted minds of the aliens you are trying to communicate with can save you from the hell you are in with these idiots and bring you to the intelligent, glory, science, whatever that you deserve to be in, right? Okay. There's a bit of that there, along with some of the aspects that we've had. So try and moosh that into there as well, and see what comes out for you when you perform it again.
Okay. If I can make one, I want to change one word.
Sure.
Because if we're going that direction, I feel like he would be extreme, like, it's not, I knew it, right? It's like, oh, he understood. It's like, I knew it, right? It's more like it's personal. So then changing, give us enough energy, give me enough energy.
Go for
right? It becomes very self-centered. Okay.
I will absolutely allow that, yeah.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Okay. Tell me how that one changed. What was that one like?
Whew, that felt good. Okay. Again, it felt like, this is a personal achievement. Didn't get any help from anybody else. This was all him. So feeling like, again, a sense of personal pride. This felt very spiteful to say.
Ooh, love that. I like that language. I want to throw something in here and have you perform it right away real quick. That asteroid that came down to you with the exordium, you are convinced it's from the aliens you are trying to communicate with. It was sent here to you, for you, because they know. They know that they need to come get you. Obviously they know. You're the smartest person here. You rival them, right? They sent the asteroid. They gave you the exordium. This is a part of it. Throw that in and see how it goes.
Okay.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay.
What did that do to the previous versus the previous one?
So this one felt like more exaltation, right? It was, he's been working on this for a long time. He's finally able to answer the call. This constant struggle to like get the parts he needed and the constant trial and error and drafting and building prototypes and testing. And then end up finally getting what he wanted all along is like almost like hearing a prophecy fulfilled, right? It's like this moment of, this is what I've been looking for. So like, again, super excited to get there and communicate. More so, like there was a little bit of spitefulness, but it was more directed towards communication with the other worlds.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I like throwing in all these little bits and pieces because I think even with the exaltation of like, they must have called me, they must have sent the asteroid and crystal and all these things for me, there's still a little bit of spite in there, right? Because maybe you say that to somebody and the rest of the population is like, yeah, aliens called you. Got it. Okay. Right? So there's still a bit of that, like, these stupid little people don't understand, but I know type of energy. So you can still have a bit of that, like, ego mixed in with the exaltation, which I think creates a very dynamic character inside of him and a cool emotional life.
Okay.
There's an exercise I want to do, which you touched on a little bit when you were talking about changing sort of like the us to the me energy. The I knew it versus I knew it. So there is an exercise where we choose different like emphasization points in order to like change the way that this is flowing and what kind of internal life it's creating for you. So if you had to go through this line of dialogue and pick out the words that you think you should be emphasizing, it can be 1, it can be 10 bajillion, it shouldn't be the whole thing, but you know what I mean? Pick out which ones do you think you should be emphasizing? And you don't have to, I think you can justify it if you want, but it's okay if they don't work. We're gonna try it and see if they do work. So which ones do you think?
The very first lines, I knew it. I feel like it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to emphasize that phrase, like I knew it.
Sure.
Like being super excited for that, or at least I knew, just being that part.
Which one do you want?
Then
you
the
want
second
the whole
line.
phrase or the first two words?
Let's do the first two. So we'll do I knew.
Okay.
And then my research was correct. Like you said, it's a point of personal pride. So was feels like the right emphasis there. My
Okay.
research was correct.
Got it.
Emphasizing I again in the next sentence, and then maybe exordium crystal, emphasizing that, because that's ultimately the crux of the entire thing working is the exordium crystal. So putting enough emphasis on that to kind of make it very apparent that that's what he's excited for.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna have you run right into it. I want you to emphasize those sections in particular. Try to hit just the ones we highlighted and mentioned as your main emphasis, and let's see how it goes.
I knew it! My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator!
Fun, I liked it. Which ones felt like they worked? Which ones felt like they didn't?
Oddly enough, I knew did not sound as good as I thought it would, so that one probably not.
Right.
Was felt right. I and exordium crystal felt correct, but illuminator seemed like it was forced.
Okay, so we're gonna take these two out, and I want to have you try it again, same way, but with those two sections gone, so they're not emphasized.
I knew it! My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator!
Okay, how did that one feel?
That one felt a lot better. It didn't feel like it was as forced. I do want to put a lot of emphasis on the sentence, but I'm going to use the example of like seasoning a meal. If you put too much salt on it, it makes it uneatable. And if you season it too little, then it becomes boring. If it was like my research was correct, if I can connect it, it's not enjoyable to listen to. But if you season it just right, it becomes very palatable. It's enjoyable. So
Absolutely.
I think by taking those two out, it kind of helped it.
Which sentence did you, which part are you like, I want to emphasize this, but I didn't like it? Is it the I knew it?
Yeah, I did want to do that, like more emphasis on I knew it, but then there's a weird pause there. Because you can go volume-wise, like I knew it, and then go like that, but again, it sounds very out of place. If it's more of a eureka moment, it's like a very subtle, it's a lot of energy that you're wanting to contain. So it'd all be loud, as opposed to just like a couple words.
So you're touching on something that I really, really like that not a lot of people consider. And it's that emphasize just means you're putting a lot of focus on it. We traditionally think of emphasize as loudness or volume or maybe like length, speed, or making it slower. We think of all these different aspects, and it can involve those, but it doesn't have to. Saying I knew it in a quiet, less big way is still emphasizing it, right? It's just instead of turning it up to 100, you're going the opposite direction. if the rest of your line of dialogue is in a faster tone or a higher pitch or more volume or more fervent, then the fact that you're taking that one sentence and going the exact opposite is emphasizing it. Because we're going, oh, that's weird compared to the rest of the sentence. And that means it's emphasized. And I think that's where this weird, like, feeling is coming from of, like, I want it to be important, but it feels weird to put that much, like, punch behind it. Because then you're separating words, right? Like you said, you're creating a pause between some of them and things like that. So I think what I want to do is I want to throw a few things in here. I could actually delete it, but sometimes this gets fucky-wucky. I want you to do it without punctuation. You have to do this entire line of dialogue in one single breath. You cannot
Just
breathe.
like a real long run-on sentence.
Run it on. No
Okay.
breathing, no pausing, no nothing. Whatever you need to do that. And if you pause or if you breathe, I will make you do it again.
Okay, all right.
Whenever you're ready.
That's weird. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect...
I took a breath.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right. All right, try it again.
You can do it.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
There you go. Do it again. No breath, no pausing, faster.
I knew it. If my research was correct, if I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
One more time, even faster. Let's go.
Oh my god, no, I can't.
Yes, you can.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Okay, now the slowest you can possibly do it. Go.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Even slower.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Even slower, drag out the
Oh.
words. Drag out the
Okay.
words themselves. You can do it.
I knew it.
There it is. Yep.
My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal,
That was too fast. Do those two words
Give-
again.
exordium crystal,
There it is.
it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Fantastic. Just perform. Go.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator!
Brilliant. How do you feel?
Exhausted. Are you kidding me? All right. That was really fun.
Take some water, take some breaths, and then explain to me what changed throughout all of those. How did it feel?
I feel like going the different speeds for whatever, like it trained my brain into like trying a bunch of different things, gave me ideas of what I think that would sound the best. Slowing it down was the trickiest part. Like I'm a fast talker by nature anyway. I have to slow myself down. But like naturally going slow is difficult. So then trying to like force myself to articulate each one of those words, it gave me a different perspective on how the line should be delivered. And I think helped me on that final take.
Okay, so that last take, after I made you go way too fast and way too slow, was immensely different. Because what happened was we had stakes. There was now like a possibility where even though there was absolutely no pressure and the world wasn't gonna end, it felt as if this entire discovery didn't happen, the world was gonna end. At least to Dr. Handel, whatever his name is. And That's the thing that is the hardest thing to do in acting, is you can have the most, there's no tense moment here, right? This is a discovery. There's no world-ending thing there, maybe for you, but like you can wake up tomorrow and continue working on the project. No one's knocking in your door and destroying it. There's no guy with a gun to your head, right? It is very hard to bring life or death to things that don't have it. And that last performance had it, because partially because you were physically exhausted and a lot of out of breath, partially because the exercises had made you start listening to the words you were saying and actually going, oh, okay, transporter, exordium, crystal, right? It also made you pick up on words like correct, right? We were skimming over things like correct because it's just a word that everyone knows, but that's important to you. That is important to you, that it's correct, because you are correct, right? And so what was happening was, in this last performance, you did the beautiful thing we've been talking about, where you started it in the lower, like, I knew it, type of energy. We had the discovery from you of like, I fucking knew it would work. It was beautiful. We could see the eureka. And we had a buildup of the energy like we've been practicing. But because you were already exhausted, because you were already out of breath, because you were caring about the words you're saying, all of a sudden, even though you had just discovered it, we were already at life or death. Like, you gave this power where you were like, I knew it, right? There's this huge breath in there. And then as you kept going, it was like my research is correct, right? Like, all of these things were coming out in your voice. You were, what I like to say, tasting your words or chewing on them. Yeah. I love to use that phrase because, like, everything that came out of your mouth was something that you were like, I've said this 6 fucking times in a row. Listen to me. And we could hear it. And the second you started talking, it was why is he heavy breathing and about to have a panic attack about a crystal I've never heard of? Like, we're like, what is happening? It was beautiful. It was fantastic. And that's a really difficult thing to do. So congrats.
Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything that, like, we're playing with this, we're working on it, we're throwing it at it. Is there anything you think that maybe is missing in this at the moment, or needs to be developed, or if you completely want to flip it on its head and try something else? What's kind of swimming through your brain?
I kind of want to try putting, like, maybe if this is, let's go from like looking at the machine being built back to table work.
Ooh.
Because I'm kind of curious to see what it would sound like if I can connect a transporter to the exordium crystal. Like, that's not something that he had considered before. So this is like a first discovery, like a first draft on paper.
Okay. I'm gonna let you perform it that way, and then I'm gonna talk about what it sounds like. So take that idea thing, run with it. I want to hear it.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator!
Okay. What's the transporter?
The transporter being like the thing that actually delivers the energy to the main unit.
Okay.
So again, being such an unstable energy source, exordium is very volatile, and having something that can be stable to deliver that power to the parts of the machine that needs it most would be super imperative. So this maybe was like an oversight after being, again, over caffeinated and under and sleep deprived, of like finally going like, oh, well, that was it. It's kind of being surprised by it.
I love that. Have you tried to connect the exordium crystal to the illuminator with different things, or have you just been doing research on the crystal, trying to discover like how much power it can output or how weak it is, etc., etc.?
I think this was something where he was trying to, like, much like most supervillains do, harness power that is otherwise wild and untamed. I think of, like, anytime, I mean, name a supervillain that is wanting to harness some sort of natural power.
Nope.
Nature is very unpredictable. It's wild, right? You can't control that. So instead of trying to control the exordium crystal that he has discovered to be volatile, creating a system that delivers that power more smoothly. So I think, like with in engineering, energy can like spike super rapidly, but instead of making it real zippy, like kind of like a sine wave, where it's nice and smooth delivering.
Okay, so let's play with this a little bit then. I can see the thought process happening when I'm listening to the different performances and bringing it back to the table. I think what's happening right now is bringing it back to the table is putting us in a fixed state where we're sort of taking out a lot of that life or death stakes that was happening. It can still be
Right.
life or death sitting at this table. It's just gonna change a bit in the way that it's done. So you said over-caffeinated, no sleep, been trying like all these different things, it hasn't been working. You're at the table, right, doing calculations, and then you're double-checking your math like 6 times over, and it's working every single time. And maybe that's where this sentence comes in. Change our before life. It is no longer like connecting the parts and here it is, I see it in front of me. Sit there, be tired as shit, take a breath, take a sip of your fucking coffee or whatever Monster Red Bull it is, and do the math. And when you found that the math has worked, then perform.
I knew it. My research was correct! If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator!
Beautiful. How did that feel different versus the other one?
It felt more so like the discovery, like you said. It's being sleep deprived. He looks down, he comes to a realization, and is like running through the numbers in his head, right? It's like before he actually goes and tackles this, much like a real scientist, he would go through the scientific method, right? Going through hypotheses, testing those out, and he's doing that again because he's a super genius. He's doing that in his brain. He's going like, okay, this is so carry the two, everything works. So after he finally gets to that point, that pause of like the exordium crystal, pause, he's got it. It will give me enough energy. So again, that realization, not just that the machine would work, but the finding the end result in his head.
Beautiful. That definitely came across a little bit more here. There was a little bit more of like a discovery for sure, which I think is important with this character, but also a little bit of like, oh wait, fuck, oh, I got it, right? That was like in the performance where you had the passion that was in those other performances where we went really fierce and fervent and punchy at the end with Power of the Illuminator and we got loud and stuff. That excitement and that passion was still there, but the entire line of dialogue was like down here in this territory, and it didn't get, out of the scientist mindset. It was here. It was excited, but it was here and not loud and everywhere. And I think that's your shift. I think that's your key shift from our table versus our in the moment type of energy. And they both have a good space that they're living in. It's just that your mindset is gonna be different if you have done the pre-hand work and you're like, okay, it's gonna work, versus you're like, hey, yeah, okay, it's not gonna work. I've done 60 different formulas. There's no way this will, oh, shit, right? So it's that mentality. And I think it definitely came across pretty well. This is going to feel wrong, so just be well aware.
Okay.
I want you to say the opposite of this line. So instead of I knew it, it didn't work, right? Or something like that. Whatever occurred didn't work. I didn't know it. My research wasn't correct. I can't connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, right? It won't give me enough energy to power the illuminator. Flip those words, those verbs, and make them the opposite.
Okay.
and see what that does to the mindset you're in at this table.
Thought I had it. My research wasn't correct. I can't connect the transponder to the...
Try that again. Stupid.
Yep,
That was
you got
dumb.
it. You
Try that
got
again.
it.
Thought I had it. My research wasn't correct. If I can't connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it won't give me enough energy to power the dang thing.
Okay. What is that version of him? How is it different to do
That
it
is-
that way?
That is a very, like, it's a very frustrated sort of, like, after trying a bunch of different methods, he thinks he has it, but then, oh, no, he doesn't. And again, he's like, it's the over caffeinated, not sleeping enough, and now it's like the last thing that he was working on for the day, thinking it was gonna work, and then trying it and going, no, that wasn't it.
I like this because a lot of the tendencies of this character have established themselves, right? Even though we flipped these words, his reaction to what are the opposite scenarios are very, very similar. Because the entire time you did this was a, fuck, I did the thing and it doesn't work because I can't connect the thing. And then when it works correctly, you go, fuck, I did the thing because I can connect the thing, right? It's very, very similar in the way that he sort of, like, there's almost no difference besides the fact that one is a bit more frustrated and one is a bit more excited. But the way that he deals with both of these emotions is very similar. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So I want to try this. Do that again. The calculation doesn't work. You can't connect the thingies. And then redo the calculation and say the line how it's meant to be. Give me the fuck it doesn't work into the oh my god it works.
Thought that was it. My research was not correct. I can't connect the transporter to the exordium crystal. It won't give me enough energy to Wait. I knew it! I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give me enough energy to power the illuminator.
Okay, how did that feel?
A little weird saying the same thing twice. It was really fun though, because like going back again, being defeated, I picture this almost being in an episode of a TV show of like it pans over, he's frustrated, there's papers scattered all over the place, there's wads of paper thrown over into a trash can, and he's just like palm in his face going, I hate my life right now and I want to be done. And then finally realizing like, oh, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. This is it.
Absolutely. The performance was interesting too because of course it's going to be weird saying the exact same line of dialogue twice. But it takes us back a little bit because we have to get rid of that in our brain of like, this is weird, I'm saying the same thing twice. Because the words don't matter, right? What matters is that you are living in it. So it doesn't matter if you're saying banana, pineapple, orange. We should be able to understand and feel what you are going through right now. And I think it worked a little bit because the first time you did it, we could feel like okay, he's been trying this for a while. Because there was the defeatedness you're talking about, where most of your sentence, not only, and I don't mean literally, not only could I barely hear the word transporter, but I was literally sitting here like, I have no idea what he just said. Because that's a good thing. I don't mean it literally. We could hear you. What I mean is, your defeatedness was so like, fuck whatever, the line of dialogue, man, like, okay, right? And that's good, because that's where he is. And so that's what we want. We're like, oh man, he must have been doing this for a while, oh, okay. And then when you made the discovery, and all of a sudden it was, yeah. and like the excitement got in there. Like all of a sudden we went, oh, he's excited. Let me listen to what he has to say. So yeah, it's the same line of dialogue, but it's also kind of not. Like, it really was cool. All right, so we've got a little bit of time left. Is there anything that you want to work on or try? It can be with this character. It can be just in general, things like I get told this, or how do I do this, or I'm not good at this. Or it can be with this character or with not. Is there anything you want to do for our last little bit here?
I'm almost thinking like if this was in a situation where he was like confronted by someone. So let's go back to him being alone. Let's say that now he has a partner. They're both striving to this goal of communicating with alien life. They got into a spat, and then after this is now like, you know, this is just spiteful. It's biting. He's wanting to like stick it to the other guy and saying like, you know what, it was me. I figured it out. But then also like, again, bringing that excitement back of like my end goal is in reach. I can almost picture them both getting into like this epic final fight, like over the exordium crystal, and then it breaks. But yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's do that version. I'm gonna challenge you with this version. Us is now back into play.
Okay.
So still give me the energy you're thinking of, the scenario you're thinking of, and perform it. But I want that us in there, now that you have a partner that you're a little mad and angry against. Whenever you're ready.
I knew it! My research was correct! If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator!
Beautiful. How did that feel?
That felt, my blood pressure spiked for a second. It did feel a lot more spiteful. I feel like I could do that better and instead put more emphasis on the end towards like, this is the end goal, the thing that I've been striving for. It felt very angry the first time I delivered it. So I might change the end of that.
It felt angry. I think it felt very like there was not a second emotion in there. All that's there was anger.
I need to do that again.
Yeah, I think play with it again. See if you can pull out other emotions.
I knew it. My research was correct. If I can connect the transporter to the exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the illuminator. There
you go. What else were you throwing in there?
I wanted to throw in a little bit of like, you know, because again, instead of going back and forth and like throwing quips at one another to hurt their feelings, this is like he is hurt by this.
Yeah.
And now that he's finally proven it, he wants to explain how this solution is going to happen. And then again, like, let's not fight about this. It will give us enough power, or enough energy to power the illuminator. It's like it's bringing it, okay, we were separate. Let's bring it back to us and our common goal.
Absolutely. Can I tell you what I heard?
Yeah.
Desperation. That is one of the first times I've heard this performance have a genuine desperation in there. And it didn't feel like, maybe part of it was a desperation, like this is the final goal, victory. But I think adding that second person, the vulnerability came out of like, especially when you got to that last line, of like, fuck every argument we've ever had. We can do this, right? It came out very clear, and it gave this beautiful sort of emotional depth of, I can hear the anger at the beginning where it's a little bit of like, see, I fucking told you, like I knew it, and I'm a little pissed that you said I was wrong, okay? But the more you started going, like, exactly as you said, when you started describing how it was gonna work, I could see the other person there. Because we could hear you going, if, and I'm like, oh, he's not talking to himself anymore. He's talking to somebody else. Because you went from like, I knew I was right, to like a, if we can do this type of energy. And it came out in your voice as well. You stuttered when you went to say that very first word. You went, if. And that is a very good indicator of that emotional switch, whether you mean it or not. We do a lot of things naturally and subconsciously that happen when we shift our perspective. So we understood that you were talking to somebody else in that moment, which also is the first time we've been doing that with this character, is where there's someone else here he's talking to, not just himself. And so we could visualize your switch because subconsciously or consciously, you switched from being like, I knew it, to wait, come here type of energy. And it really, really was cool to hear. I like that performance a lot. That one was very interesting. And I think that's where we're gonna end it for today. I had so much fun doing this, y'all. I hope you had fun watching. I think it was fantastic. I like to end these where I'm gonna have you reintroduce yourself to the audience, tell them where they can find you if you have any social media, and then you're gonna give me one final performance of whatever you think the best performance of this line is. Totally up to you and how you feel. And then we'll end us out. So go ahead and reintroduce yourself first.
Again, I'm Charlie Houts. You can find me on YouTube at Charbroilin and the same name on Blue Sky.
Amazing. All right, my friend, give us your last, best, amazing performance.
I knew it! My research was correct! If I can connect the transporter to the Exordium crystal, it will give us enough energy to power the Illuminator!
Woo! Fantastic job!